Thank you very much for coming to Gerharz Equipment, Paul. Appreciate your time. And how's everything going today?
It's going great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So good. Thank you for the donuts too. You know what I mean?
Why not, right? That's what I do. I came right from the shop smelling like donuts and everything.
It is. So business is good.
Business, thank God, is good. Yes, we actually had a decent summer. We did some pivoting that really helped us out. It stayed relevant, and no complaints our way. We're really thankful for the community for supporting us.
So how many years is this? How's it?
It'll be 3 years in November. It'll be 5 years since we launched our first pop-up in June of 2017 at the Taste Syracuse.
So that was really the thing that started. Like, when did you have this idea? Like, I can do this.
Okay.
Go through that whole timeline.
It's a great little journey. So the family travels to Rehoboth Beach, Lower Delaware area for summer vacation. Food family, right? Italians, we go out to eat all the time. And that doesn't exclude desserts or morning or breakfast. Mm-hmm. So there's a great place there called the Fractured Prune, little boutique donut shop. They make everything kind of hot, very similar to Duck Donuts. And we would go there literally 3 to 4 times that week. So wake up, hey, who wants a dozen of Fractured Prune donuts? So it's about a 6-hour ride home from Rehoboth. At the time, Isabella was 13, Roman was 8. The kids started a conversation in the back seat, and it really went as simple as this. Hey, Dad, do you think if there was a place like the Fractured Prune in Syracuse, we would go 3 times a week? That was the first question. I'll never forget it. And that led into like, well, there's not a place like that. How come there's not a place like that? Could there be a place like that? And then my son was a little aggressive. He's like, well, let's open up a place like that or similar to that. And as someone who has always been wired as an entrepreneur, I thought it made sense, but certainly was not ready for a brick and mortar at all. So we decided, we told the kids, so 6 hours home, they're getting excited about donuts. I've never made a donut in my life, right? I could be completely forthcoming. My brother is in the bakery industry. He's been a plant director for Pennant Products for 30-something years, 33 years. So they do all the Dunkin' Donut mix. So he has some knowledge of the bakery industry. So I leaned on him. We told the kids that we would do a pop-up with donuts at the Taste Syracuse as long as they worked with us and they gave 10% back to a local charity. 2 simple rules. By the time we got home, the kids had named it Glazed Confused, and they were super excited about it.
And how did they come up with that? Did you ask them?
It was really weird. Like, my wife said something about Glazed Syracuse, and then Roman said something like Glazed and Infused, and then it got to confused. It somehow randomly led itself to Glazed and Confused. Mm-hmm. So that was in August of 2016. Literally a month went by, no conversation about it at all. I'll never forget this conversation. My son started needling me like, hey, thought we were opening up a business. Like, you told us we were opening up a business. And I literally was like, said to my wife, I'm like, hey, I think Roman really wants to do this. That week I called the Taste Syracuse, told them we were going to launch at the Taste. We didn't have a storefront. We used the Palace Theater at the time I was there as a commissary, and we were in. Never made a donut in my life. In November, December, we started going to Rochester once a month and just playing with mixes and learning a little bit about the business, and then started the marketing side of it, like branding it and coming up with what we were going to do in March, April, and we launched on June 2nd, 2017, just with the Dizzy Pig. The dollar sample was the maple bacon. Took a chance on maple bacon. And I'll never forget this. This is part of the fun part of the journey. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning on Taste of Syracuse, first day we're open. We had a little bit of a line. We created some buzz prior to opening. I think donuts are a good item. Fun. No one can't go wrong with a hot item. Someone from Channel 9 wanted to interview me, and they walked up and said, hey, pretty cool that you're launching a donut business on National Donut Day. And I was like, I got to tell you, I'm not that smart. I didn't know that, but timing's everything, so we'll take it. So we literally launched that day. We stayed open that Friday and Saturday. Was really successful. Sold a lot of donuts. Learned as we went. Got burned a few times. Kids both worked. Gave 10% back to Page's Butterfly. Put all the equipment in the storage facility. And I'll never forget that Tuesday. Got like an email that was like, "Where are you located?" And that started the trend. And we just we went from there. We did pop-ups for that first year, and it wasn't until 2017 or 18, back at the Taste, I believe luck can go a long way, right? Yeah. Work hard, get lucky. Yeah. So that year, always Bang Bang Shrimp has been like the leader, the longest lines, right? They're dollar shrimp. That year they pulled out. They were pulling out because they had a new operator. And there was an article in the paper, and I didn't even know that it had hit. And the article was titled, "Will the Dizzy Pig Become the New Bang Bang Shrimp?" And it was basically saying that we had long lines and who will take over as the longest line. And honestly, Mark, it was like, it just built so much curiosity of what the Dizzy Pig was, that year it was just tremendous. We had lines, they had to get security. So after we wrapped up that 2-day event, I started to like contemplate like maybe a brick and mortar, maybe there is room. And here we are, 5 years later.
Because we were talking earlier, location. Your location is amazing.
Yeah.
For where the Taste of Syracuse is, but also where your location is. Then when you see people come in and out, it's easy to get in, it's easy to get out. I was just there a couple Saturdays ago, and I waited in line, to pick up donut. Where'd you find the location, or how did you find it?
So that's interesting, right? So the first hard sell for me was even a brick and mortar. Definitely afraid. Like, yeah, this is a cute idea, but who's going to be there? And can Syracuse really support an artisan donut shop? I mean, listen, I'm a big fan of Harrison and Lincourt. I love those facilities. Those families have been doing donuts and cakes for years, right? Longer than I'm older than me. So I was a little bit fearful, like, will this work? But I knew that if we were going to make it work, it would have to be at a spot like that. So Darwin's it was a busy shop to begin with, so it proved some success. Hey, there's a lot of value to say you're around the corner from Dinosaur Barbecue. Everyone knows where Dinosaur Barbecue is. I love the one way because I thought that it became easy access in and out like Columbus Bakery. And it was small. It was small enough to look like a bakery, so I knew that even if we weren't busy, at least we could give the perception like there's some life there. So all those things, to me, made that building really attractive. Got really lucky there. When I heard Darwin's was moving, I went down there that day and tried my best to buy the building and got no response. Couldn't reach the owner. There was some other people interested in the building, and it just fell through. So I got a little bit disappointed. Drove by one day on a fluke, and I saw a for lease sign. Got excited, called the owner, met him there on a Monday. I'll never forget this. And I said, hey, I have a little business, and he's another restaurateur in town. And he said, what are you thinking? And I said, I have a donut business with my family. And he looked at me and he goes, Glazed Confused? And I go, yeah. And he goes, me and my kids wait in line at the festivals for you. And I literally shook his hand and said, give us a shot. And we signed the lease that following week, and we were in November 17th of 2017, and it's been good ever since. It's been good.
Who picked all the colors at all the, because when you walk in there, it's not like anything else. There's no, like his chain or it's just so cool. It's got a great vibe. Who picked them?
So when we visited a bunch of donut shops prior to opening, Rochester, Buffalo, New York City, and most of them were very trending, very hip. Didn't appeal to kids at all. I'm kind of a McDonald's guy. I think that if we can get the kids excited about coming down, and if we have good donuts, then we'll get the moms anyway. So we wanted to lean away from being too trendy and too cool. So I met up with a kid, he was referred to me, Tommy Lincoln, who did all our graphics. And I basically said, here's my vision. I want when someone comes in from out of town, they're staying at Hotel Syracuse. I want when someone checks with the concierge and says, where do we go? They say, go to Dinosaur, and oh yeah, there's a really cool spot around the corner that looks like Voodoo Donuts. It's fun, it's kid friendly, and I want to establish that look. Mm-hmm. So Tommy, believe it or not, came up with a couple of logos. We're at a meeting one day. One had a brand, an iron. The other one was a cool character. Didn't love any of them. And he flipped through, and there was the donut with the mustache. And I was like, wait, what's that? He's like, no, it's something I came up with. I didn't think you'd like it. And I was like, you know what? I think it's just clever enough that we can play into it. And I think kids will gravitate towards it. I think we can have some fun boards with really use the mustache well. You'll never see a mustache on a donut. And we just went in that direction. And our goal from day one was create this little whimsical wonderland that's fun, music's playing. Hey, there's a disco ball, right? That's a funny story. So I ordered a disco ball to hang. And my wife called me one day and she's like, Paul, there's a disco ball coming from Amazon. What's that for? And I was like, the donut shop. She's like, you're kidding me. She's like, wait a minute. We're putting a disco ball in the donut shop? And I was like, have you ever seen a disco ball in the donut shop? Yeah. And she's like, no. I was like, that's why. But here's what it did, and this was just my thoughts, and it works every weekend. Kids come in with mom and dad. Let's just say they're young, 45-year-old mom and dads, right? The kid's 7. The kids look up in the air and point to the disco ball because they're not familiar with it. And it creates a conversation so the parents can say, oh, well, that was when we were younger, and it's just a conversation piece. It adds fun. We're big music fans, so there's always music playing to build vibe. So we went in that direction. We've stayed in that direction, and it's worked. It's a fun brand. I don't think it's intimidating at all. I think it appeals to moms, dads, kids, and thankfully it's worked out.
And there's nothing like it in the area. Like, it was nice to hear you say Lincord and Harrison and those. I mean, I went in the back when we bought Central. Deloro's was one of our customers, and so we just sold him this huge mixer. And I said to him, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" He goes, "My business was built on this mixer.
Yeah.
I want the exact same mixer."
No doubt.
And he literally drove to Philadelphia to look at it, to see it, and then we brought it in, and it was incredible. But he said that's what makes it what it is. And
absolutely.
You had that same type of equipment that you have
I
to
do. So it's funny you say that. I would change one thing looking back, and then potentially one day we may do that when we buy the building that we're in. So when I first opened, we bought a kettle fryer, big old-fashioned. It looked like it just got out of war, but it was going to be for festivals. So we got it, we cleaned it all up and put it to use. We still use that donut fryer. So I'm convinced, like in my head, I will only use that big old-fashioned kettle fryer. It works well for us. It's what I know. Yeah. My first job when I was 16 was at Maury's Mill, and I used to fry donuts on a Belshaw 734 donut fryer. So that's like a golden gem. If we, looking back now, if I were to redo the store, when you walk in, there's the counter, and then there's the wall, and then there's the kitchen. I probably would make that second wall some windows so you can actually see the kettle fryer, because those donut robots are fun and they're cute that people see at like cider mills and stuff like that. But our kettle fryer is unique. It's something that people don't see and haven't seen. It's an old-fashioned cutting process, but just like them, I agree. Like, you kind of go with what you know, and I wouldn't change it.
A lot of people nowadays like to see that interaction, like, you know, the Chipotles, know, all that stuff. Where I've talked to a couple pizza owners who say that's the future, like the Blaze. But we're so blessed in Syracuse to have such great pizza places and the whole, you know. So I don't think that's going to be a thing, but they think that interaction where people can have more.
So we glaze. So basically, what we do now is we make the donuts in the back, bring them out on racks hot, and then the girls will decorate them in front of people, and they can see what's kind of going on. But there's no question. For example, today. We're working up our special for next Friday, which is pumpkin spice latte. When the girls were making them and designing them, taking pictures, people in line were like, "Wait, what is that donut?" So it's always best when you can kind of show off some skills. It works. It certainly works for us, and it's worked out well, and we're thankful for it.
How'd you do I remember seeing the Ryan McMahon donut.
That's great.
How did you? Is that just a printer, a 3D printer?
Yeah, we did a 3D printer with edible paper. And you know that, listen, we copied, there's a great donut shop in Rochester called Donuts Delight, and they did Dr. Fauci. And I certainly didn't want to do Dr. Fauci and copy them, so I reached out to them and said, "Hey, would you guys be okay with this?" And we thought Ryan was doing a really good job in the middle of the pandemic. He was keeping everyone, you know, up to date, and we thought that it'd be a fun way. We ended up raising right around $1,100. We donated all the proceeds back from that week, and then bought meals through 2 different places to give back to first responders. So it worked out. That's
what it's about. It really is.
It really is.
And I think about during this whole pandemic, we've talked about it on the podcast, food is people have now realized how important food is. I mean, we always knew, you and I, we've been in the business, we know.
Sure.
But they have really realized when they can't go to their favorite restaurant, they can't go to their favorite bar, and now they're getting a taste of it, and they're, you know, so I'm hoping more and more people appreciate the artists, you know, that is in you guys, and the creative side, and what you guys bring to the table. And it was good to hear that.
So when we first
gave money to people too.
When we were first deemed essential, I had to scratch my own head. Like, wait a minute, we're a donut shop, right? But like you said, there were so many places closed. There were so limited and few options. Looking back at that COVID strike, we got super lucky, Mark. We just bought a food truck and put it on the road in September. It did one event. We thankfully won it. We launched at the State Fair. It was a food truck rodeo. We won that event. It was the first time we used it and put the truck away for the winter for storage. So here's what happens. It's the first week in April. A lady from a clay development, really nice development in clay, ordered 24 half dozen for her neighbors. And she just asked if we could kindly put them on the doorstep, ring the doorbell, don't say who it was from. Just wanted to bring some smiles to people's faces in a tough time. My wife said, because she's smarter than me, "Hey, you got to get the food truck out of storage anyway. Why don't you just bring them out in the food truck, take a picture? You never know." Went out that day, rang the doorbell, took a picture of the food truck, and used our social media handle. And in the post said something like a good neighbor, Team Glaze is there, bringing smiles to neighborhood. Thanks to the heroes who bought these for the neighbors. And I'll never forget, by the time I got back to the shop, a lady had called from another neighborhood and said, that's a great idea. What can they do to get the truck out there? That turned into a quick pivot. Within 3 days, we had a program where neighborhoods could order half dozen or dozen only. It wasn't where we pull up and park. Someone was responsible for gathering the orders. They would send us a list with an email address. We would literally send an online bill so everyone individually could pay for their order. And from that following week, all the way to July 4th, so all of April, all of May, all of June, we did 2 to 3 neighborhoods a day. Literally every day. We were nonstop. And it would just, for us, it brought us to suburbs of people that might not come down to the shop, and it was really good. It was a good pivot. It worked out well.
I think you're right when we were talking earlier. Too many is not good.
No.
I mean, you have a great location, you have a great product, and people from the suburbs don't mind driving in. Like I come in on a Saturday or Sunday,
sure,
and pick them up, and to me, it's part of like going to the farmer's market.
Yeah, absolutely.
On my way through, I grab them, and do you see yourself expanding, or do you want to?
So I think we see ourselves expanding into another city or another market. I love that downtown location. I think it works. Somebody one time from Cazenovia said, hey, when are you going to come up to Cazenovia? And in my head, it was like, well, you're still driving in from Cazenovia. Like, I don't know if that makes sense for us, right? Yeah. But definitely it's become that weekly son, daughter in the car, go down. Kids love it. We give them stickers. And we build that little bit of habit with families on the weekend. So right now, there's no desire to open up anything else locally. Stay put, serve our community, use the truck a little bit more for corporate events. Keep building our brand, keep doing what we do with the community and giving back, and then look at other markets.
How about SU and Lemoyne? And do you see an uptick when they come back?
We see a huge uptick when they come back on Grubhub.
You did look good on TV the other day when the 23 got arrested, and it was 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Paul.
Yeah.
And that was so well put. I mean, they really do have a responsibility.
They do.
I mean, we have a responsibility, and so do they. I mean, so many people count on them, and so it's not just the food service people. It's everybody else involved.
It's a big portion of our revenue in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so we're starting that back.
Hopefully it worked. Hopefully those comments from you.
Yeah, it worked. You know what? We see a lot of parents come down, a lot of kids, but they Grubhub. So far, so good.
I talked to a wood-fired bagel company in Syracuse, and I said the same thing. They're like, well, we're looking, and I'm like, people are coming down.
Yeah, no doubt.
People are making that trip down because your product is good.
Yeah.
Your location's cool. And you have is social media really where you do most of your advertising?
We don't do any traditional advertising. Instagram, Facebook, using Google AdWords and posts. But yeah, that's really what drives our business. Pictures sell $1 million, it sells well. And pictures of donuts can work really well. So yeah, we use that 100%. We don't do any traditional advertising.
So you said earlier before we started this, you've had the same staff from day one.
Yeah, we've added one new staff member right COVID. She's with us. We haven't had any new members or lost anyone since going on 3 years.
What's this? Like literally, you're smiling, but what is this?
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen in our business.
So I'd like to think that we have a fun facility. We treat them well. I'm certainly not, the only person. I tell them all the time, you guys work way harder than me. My job is to make sure we're bringing in revenue and people are coming in. And I focus on that, and they focus on retention and making sure customers get treated well. And we just treat them like family. They're family, right? We give them paid week vacation. We're a small shop, right? We do 2 weeks paid vacation. We go on vacation with them. We bring them to New York City to see what other shops are like, to treat, how they're treated. And we have our spats here and there, like everyone else. But primarily for the most part, they take pride in it. They understand we have a goal, which is our mission is to create the best environment with the best product and treat people like they want to be treated. And thankfully, they bought in on that. Yeah. And we're very lucky.
That's I mean, it really is truly incredible. And so what's a normal day for you?
Normal day for them is 5 a.m. till about 2:30. And they work 6 days. They have 2 days off, and they rotate. So they'll work 5-day work week. I'm lucky. They're there every morning when I show up. They're getting it done.
So they start at 5?
Yeah, they start at 5. Fridays, they'll start at 4.
Do you know Dick Zabin from Kirby's?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he has had managers for like 20, 30 years, and his key, he says, is you're going to have 2 days off a week. You're going to work.
Yep. You're going to work
45 to 50 hours a week.
Yep.
And I'm going to pay you well, but I want you to also have a life. And that sounds like that's kind of something that you've looked at.
That's similar to listen, they have afternoons off. And we treat them, like I said, we treat them like family. They know we respect them. I can't do it without them. Yeah. There's 2 schools, right? I have friends that are business owners that think they're the smartest guy in the room, and without them, they can get anybody. That's just not me. That's just not who I am. I realize that we're lucky and fortunate to have the staff, and I can't be there all the time. I'm not there all the time.
Yeah.
And we rank #1 on TripAdvisor out of 800 restaurants in Central New York. They give good service. We make mistakes sometimes. I mean, there's Fridays where they're cranky. You know how it is, right? 1:30 is the worst. When it's slow.
Oh yeah, you're trying to get
when it's slow, right?
Get cleaned up.
Because
like
you're cleaned up, they're tired. Someone walks in, they don't say hello to them, but they're pretty attentive. They're pretty aware. They're aware. I say this all the time. I tell those guys, I don't pay your salaries. It's the customers. If we don't have revenue, we can look at each other all day long. Yeah. Trust me, it's how we treat them in direct response is how long and how many extra hours and stuff we can have.
I've been saying that to everybody here, like it's a relationship business. Dick started this business, and I don't know if you heard the story how he started it, but literally he wasn't in the restaurant equipment business, and a guy from What's Your Beef walked in, put it on his kitchen table and said, you're doing my location.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're in the business.
And that's how it started.
Yeah, exactly. But you have third, fourth generation. They don't even ask for a price anymore. They trust you, and so it's the same with your business, that they're going to come back, and they keep coming back because of the service, the quality, and they feel like, oh my God, this is somewhere I'm comfortable and I enjoy, and
So I'm a huge Jeff Bezos fan from Amazon, and he used to say all the time, like, we put so much focus on the customer. We don't worry about the competition. We don't worry about anybody else. It's making sure the customer gets 100% perfect. I mean, he one time called Amazon. They put him on hold for like 38 seconds, and he had a fit. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think we do the same thing. On Fridays, we're lucky enough to have a line. We'll bring out little mini donuts. We give out keychains. We do as much as we possibly can to make sure that we just listen. There's a lot of places people can go. You don't have to drive in from Manlius to come down.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be honest, right? Yep. I want to make sure when you're there, you really understand we're thankful that you gave us the business. Yeah. Truly. Not because we want to go out and we were really thankful. So my staff bought into the fact that these guys come in week in, week out. Like, they deserve to have smile. They deserve to know, hey, thanks for coming. And we're fortunate as a family to have my staff. It's been great.
What's the hardest thing running this business?
So I would say it's the hardest thing right now is just we do so many different flavors that we don't want to get stale. We want to stay relevant. Right? Like when we started, we sell donuts. We have one breakfast sandwich. People thought we were crazy. They said, you can't do it. You need croissants. You need other items. Yeah. We've been lucky to sell donuts, coffee, and iced coffee for the last 3 years. I get scared sometimes. I wake up like, oh no. Like, do we need to add a breakfast sandwich or like bagels or something? We're going to keep plugging away good donuts, but for now, like the Fillet Friday is great. We're going to start a sweet and savory Saturday, so we'll do combinations that make sense, that fit that bill. So I think it's not hard. It's just making sure that we're ahead of the game and we're relevant. And I would say the hardest thing is, making sure we maintain our level of customer service. We're here, right? Like we rank #1 on TripAdvisor, like I said. That's kudos to my staff. There's nowhere to go but down. Yeah. It's work. It's like a constant reminder that we need to make sure we don't lose focus of this.
How many dozen donuts a day, or how many donuts
a day? It depends.
What's the average?
On Fridays, we'll average a couple hundred dozen and about 1,000 of the filled Fridays. We just bought a piece of equipment from Gerharz. That's great, the filler machine, because doing them the old-fashioned way by hand can get difficult when you're doing 1,000 donuts filled. Our busiest days of the year, that's an odd one, are all of our holidays. We do a theme box that we started years ago. So Halloween, it's just a theme box. Yeah. Valentine's Day is our busiest day of the year. Those are awesome days. We like to bring flavors that people don't normally see, so it's a little bit different, so we're not getting stale. So it's, like I said, I can't repeat myself enough and say how thankful we are to this community for supporting us.
You laugh, because when I left for Thanksgiving on Wednesday, I picked up 2 boxes.
There you go. Exactly.
Drove to Annapolis, and my brother's like, oh my God, these are better, because they have a duck. I think they have a duck donuts in Annapolis. He's like, these are so much better. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
Do you think?
So I'm always looking forward to the next. We're already on Thanksgiving. We're already on Halloween with flavors. What are we going to do this year versus last year? We do T-shirt designs 4 times a year with specialty, Halloween shirts. We keep as much as we can fresh and branded to make sure our customers are getting. We'll do candles. We're just constantly looking for new ways to kind of relate with our customer base.
So COVID obviously affected everybody. I didn't know you did until I was at an event, and there was this donut bar, for desserts. I was like, man, that's amazing. And then you were talking to me about weddings, and I just did it for my son's graduation party and all these things. That's obviously shrunk immensely.
So we started last year, weddings started to hit really hard. We invested in a bunch of donut boards. We were doing on average 2 to 3 weddings a weekend. It was really increasing. We spent some money going to some trade shows to really hone in on that direction. We lost all that this year. We have a wedding coming up. We did one last week, smaller obviously, 100 donuts. We lost that. We're still up for the year because of the food truck. Certainly looking forward to next year getting back. But again, we're just thankful that we had the opportunity. We also saw this, this past summer, our weekends are primarily busier because people are staying local. So they're not away on vacation.
Yeah.
So it's a treat to come down on a Saturday and buy a dozen for the kids because after all, you treated them on their vacation, right, where we were supposed to go. So it's all evened out, but definitely I feel really bad for those that counted on that, that industry of catering. I mean, they definitely had a rough going.
Has it changed any of your operation at all? Because everything's closed up pretty much. And
it hasn't. You know what? We didn't miss a beat. So we actually added 2 staff members during COVID to do the deliveries. We retained all of our customers. And we're just slowly every day, we immediately invested in plexiglass. We wear masks to protect our staff, protect everybody. So for now, we haven't missed a beat. It's been like normal to us, as normal as normal is.
Yeah, the new normal.
The new norm, yeah.
It's funny you said earlier about going to Rehoboth. We go to LBI every year. And I bring back this, I call it kuchen, but it's this cake.
I know exactly what it is.
And I literally bring back 3 or 4 of them with me and freeze them. And it's just kind of a trigger point for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's good that, everybody has that thing and you're creating that, which is really
So what's been cool for us is we'll see a lot of family members, if they're having visitors from out of town, come grab a dozen to show their family members that we have a cool artisan shop in town.
Yeah.
We get that every weekend without fail. Got to get 2 dozen for people coming in from wherever. And I don't know if that's just to show them that, hey, look, we're Syracuse, but we still have some crafty new items that aren't traditional, but it certainly works and it plays into our favor and it works well and it does it every weekend. But our number one, our traffic driver is the couple from the suburb that come down, put their 2 kids in the car, and the kids love it. The kids love coming in, grabbing stickers, and taking a dozen home for the weekend. And that's building those traditional moments that thankfully for us have really worked.
What do you do with the left, if you have left?
So that's a great question. Yeah. We will come in the morning and start making donuts throughout the day, and we make them every half an hour all day long. So unlike traditional bakeries, let's say, I'll just use Harrison, and they'll make their cakes, then they'll make their pies, they'll make their croissants, they'll make their breads, and then baker will usually walk out at 6 in the morning, staff comes in and sells. What's left, right? Mm-hmm. We'll start making donuts. We make donuts every half an hour. We can slow our production down. So if we see it's a slower day, we'll slow it down. We will have some extra that can look like 2 dozen, 4 dozen. We donate to food banks every day. So we'll bring the Samaritan Center, we bring down to Salvation Army. Every day we use the extra. But we have a different philosophy. Because we can slow production down, we have a lot less waste than most traditional bakeries. And the byproduct is we're having a fresher product throughout the day. Yeah, so I say this all the time. People are like, well, how come you think you're better than wherever? It's like, I don't. Here's what I know. I know that if I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, usually if I eat it the minute I make it with fresh bread, it tastes better than if I leave it on the counter for 5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I don't think we're better than anyone else. I think that we keep a fresher product, and by the byproduct of that is it should be better. Yeah. So that's just what we do differently.
Because from you growing up, and donuts have changed.
Totally.
There's still the Lincourts and the Hera.
Yeah.
But there used to be one. I remember. Do you remember Cops or down in Lynch's in Chittenango?
Yes.
Skinny Atlas Bakery.
Yes.
There was these bakeries all over out, and that has, the big chains have gobbled them up or changed the way they go to business. And so you're right. Yours is. I always wondered how you did it because that's a lot. How do you know what to produce?
Yeah.
Yeah. On average, you're going to go through this many.
We know now just based on trends of normal Fridays and Saturdays, they change. But we have the ability with the kettle fryer, if we see it busier line, just keep produce more. We can make 45 donuts a minute with the fryer, 2 minutes. Yank them out. We'll just keep producing them. We'll slow it down. It's a different model. It only works if you're doing business, right? If you're not doing, again, I can scare myself when I think that we just only sell donuts. We sell 12 donuts a day, and people are like, how do you do it? Wegmans has donuts, everyone has donuts. But I think people, this is a great trend. Wegmans saw their donut sales go down by 40% when they stopped making them in stores. So just recently in Henrietta, they put another donut facility where you can see them making it just like Fractured Prune and Duck's Donuts. Because they realized that people were just walking by the donuts.
Yeah.
There was no frill, no frazzle. So I'd like to think because we're a local option, we give back to our community. They know that we're creating a fresh product. It's a little bit out of the box. It's not traditional.
Yeah.
You can certainly get some flavors that you're not going to get in traditional boxes.
Yeah.
And
you hadn't even sat down yet. My boss was like, save one of those for me because my daughter absolutely loves them.
Yes.
I mean, that tells you right there that.
Yeah, like next week we're having a beaten regatta donut. I mean, we've done the everything bagel donut. I mean, we certainly, some win, some lose. But we consistently change flavors to make sure that we're keeping it relevant.
Is Dizzy Pig the number one?
Number
seller?
one, has been number one. Dizzy Pig and the French Toast have been the number one seller since the day we started. It never, every day if I look at what's sold, besides Fridays with the filled cannoli donut, our inside jobs, probably the most popular when we put it on a menu. And there's another thing, right? I don't put them on menus. Like our popular items are, they pop in and pop out.
Yeah.
I'm a Girl Scout cookie guy, right? Like people love them because they're unavailable.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we do that a lot. We just feature them. So to be really honest, before vacation, we'll blast that one so I know that we have a really productive day before we leave so we can sell out of other items. My staff, when we say cannoli days on September 20th, already start to rest up. Those are busy days. But yeah, I mean, we constantly just change it. But Dizzy Pig, for sure, is the staple.
What's vacation like for you? Can you relax or do you?
I can relax because thankfully I give our staff the week off. We don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, you closed?
We give our staff.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
We close for a week.
Yep.
The staff that, there's 2 guys that work for us that fry that literally come in and paint, clean, degrease. They don't have to worry about anything. They do it for the first couple of days of vacation. And the pastry chefs throw down their aprons on that Saturday. They leave and we're all on it together. We all regroup. And then we come back and start back up. We do it twice a year. We do it the week after 4th of July, or the week after January 1st, so New Year's Eve, and then we do it for 4th of July week, 2 weeks a year. People say I'm crazy. It's okay, right? Thankfully they come back. What we do differently on 4th of July, or January 1st is we close for a week, but we open with a completely new menu, 12 new flavors. And that does one of 2 things. When people are generally dieting first week,
yeah.
People are like, I got to try the new menu.
Right.
It's like, it just pops in. This January, we'll probably introduce a keto donut for the first time. We've had it done. We're just waiting. Like I was always waiting for a dip in sales to introduce something new. Thankfully, we've been good with it. So we'll probably introduce something like that this coming up January.
How many fryers is there? 2? Or is it 1?
1 big kettle fryer. And we literally just crank it out. We never stop filling the batter and cranking them out, filling the batter.
The pizza guys, like when pizza people come in here, and I always say to them, ovens and mixers, they can't go down. They cannot.
No.
And if you have a Hobart, you're all set.
So we have 2 Hobarts,
Yeah.
and then we have a backup. So we do have one of the mini, the donut, not the mini. We have a donut robot that people use like at Duck Donuts for backup that we use at festivals. So it's in the kitchen just in case that fryer goes down. Mm-hmm. But that Belshaw fryer is that's Golden Goose.
See, it's so weird because we tell people like for wings in the pizza places, it's the Hobart, it's the Blodgett, it's the Marcel, it's the for you, it's if a donut people call, that's the first one we go to because that's what they do. Now you're gonna pay a little bit more money, but you're a perfect example of why it's worth doing.
I'll bet you our donut fryer's 20 years old. I bet you it's made millions of donuts. I trust it more than any other piece of equipment in the shop.
I had a Hobart dishwasher from a correctional facility, and someone said, "Oh my God, it only lasted 20 years. You know how much I pay?" I'm like, 1,000 trays a day.
Oh yeah.
Times 3 times.
Oh yeah.
Times 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Times. I said, do you know how many? Like, you really got your money's worth, and you do get your money's worth by buying something. I mean.
So we'll have, I'll get a call from someone out of New Jersey that saw us that owns a donut facility or does pop-ups, and it's flattering for me. They're looking for advice, and they'll have like a little Obrit system. And they're like, I just can't invest in the Belshaw. It's $9,000. And I'm like, no, you can't not invest in the Belshaw. It's the best unit there, right? Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, listen, that piece of equipment is single-handedly the most important thing we own there. Yeah. And it does a really good job. I wouldn't use, you could give me a Pitco donut fryer and say it's equal, and I'd say, I don't know if I trust it, man. This thing fires up on all cylinders.
Yeah. It's hard to get people to, and I listen to enough of Anthony's podcast. I know people don't have a lot of money in the beginning, but you have to spend money on some of those things, and that, for you is to get it right. And Belshaw, that's all they do. Like that's all they do is bake. We just did for one of our convenience store chains. They have a commissary, and they have a glazing table. And they're like,
Belshaw.
Nope, we're like, are you sure?
Yeah, I actually just called Anthony about the Belshaw glazing table. We're going to get one of those soon.
Yeah. But they do, that's what they do well. Pico does well for fryers, for chicken wings, and for other things like that.
Yes, no doubt
Logic does the ovens and all that.
No doubt.
And you pay for what you get for it. It's just like your donuts. I mean, they're not the cheapest donuts.
No, but we always say we're not the least expensive, we're not the most expensive. We try to give you value. The smartest thing I ever did, and I got lucky, when I first opened, we really thought we'd be this artisan shop where someone would come in and get 2 donuts and a cup of coffee, and it'd be a $6, $7 item. We have donuts that are $1. We have some that are $2 and some that are $3. They all include tax. I thought, so we have a $12 dozen, so we have a dozen that's classics, but we have a $20 dozen that's all of them, one of each. So it ends up coming out to $1.50 a donut with tax. Thank God we did that, because we sell more dozens than singles, and our average ticket's higher. And looking at some of the numbers, I don't know if we could survive with a $6 ticket. I really don't. So now knowing what I know, I think of ice cream shops, and I'm thinking wow, how do they do it? Volume, obviously.
Yeah.
But the best thing, I think, looking back, the best thing I could have done was have a $20 dozen. Because what we do is, someone comes in, they want 4 of the specialty. They're all $3, right? And it's sticker shock. Whoa, $12?
Yeah.
My staff is trained to say, hey, I get it. You know what? You could add 8 more donuts, right, for only $6 more. So for 20, cut them all up, figure out what flavors you really enjoy, and then the next time you come in, if you didn't like it, you can just buy them individually. And we gravitate, and people walk out with a dozen all day long, and they feel they got value, right? They cut them all up, they're shareable, and that's worked really, really well. That was the best thing I did, the smartest thing, accidentally.
Yeah.
Right, because I didn't want to be, there's places that we've been to in Rochester, their $3 donuts are $3. When you buy a dozen, it's $36. It's a lot of money for a dozen donuts, right? It's a lot of money.
And people, that's hard,
It's hard to swallow.
Yeah, 36. Yeah.
It's hard to swallow. Yep.
What's the hardest thing you've learned?
I'm so blessed to say that we've had an easier journey because the staff is still in place. I hear nightmares right now of friends that can't staff a facility.
Yeah.
The hardest thing, right now is just, it's been a good journey that hasn't had a lot of, food. I guess right now it's do I buy the food truck or not?
Yeah.
There are struggles with ourselves on how we grow.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part right now. So we invested in a food truck. They're not cheap by the time you're done. You want to make sure you get value out of them. I ended up pulling the plug because I think that it's one of those things that helps add us as a brand. It puts us in areas that we're not normally in, and it builds legitimacy, right?
And I think that's the trend going forward. We've talked to a lot of operators who say, I've got to, they're coming back, but it's not going to come back in enough time where I've got to pivot.
No doubt about it.
Take out window, like we're working with somebody near you. They're looking at a drive-through window just because.
No doubt about it. So I think for us, there hasn't been a lot of rough obstacles. It's daily. Listen, I'm a business owner that has their struggles. When we have an off week, I start scratching my head thinking, that's it, everyone's done. No one's eating donuts anymore, right? Mm-hmm. I can tell you generally when we've had off weeks, everyone has off weeks. It's just the way the cycle works, right? Yeah. The week right now, this is kind of a weird week. It's like Fair Week. Our numbers look the same as last year. We're actually up a little. But there hasn't been anything that I've scratched my head and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Yeah. It's been good. I bought it, getting it back up Hobart. One morning in 3 years, the Hobart went down, and I was like, what do we do? We're out of business. So we bought it back up Hobart.
It's just like the pizza places.
You learn.
You can't be done.
No. You can't be done.
You're so limited that you're done.
We're done. You're done. Literally done. We couldn't make a batch.
Yeah.
So you learn. Those are the hard mornings. And you learn quick, and you have to, and you learn as you go.
Any hiccups with vendors keeping up?
No, but we haven't had any vendor issues. We're lucky, right? Bakery products haven't, fluctuated like chicken wings.
Right.
We've been locked in. We've been okay. It's been okay.
Yeah. We've heard from a couple vendors or a couple operators the same thing. oh my God, great week. And then,
it's weird to predict.
Yesterday there was a guy in from Sarapia, and he goes, and I'm scratching my head, and then next week it comes back.
Yes.
No rhyme or reason, and I just think that's...
Yesterday, believe it or not, yesterday was the first odd day we've had in probably 5 months. But remember, we're a morning game, right? 7 to 9 is our busiest 2 hours. At 8 o'clock yesterday, it looked like it was pitch black. It was raining out. Today's a big day, Friday. So if you were going to come down yesterday, you probably just skip it and say you're going to go there anyway the next day. That was the first day that looked odd. Certainly doesn't get scary. In a week, we do the same revenue, weekly. But listen, when you're a small business owner, you start to get anxious, especially in times like this.
Yeah.
So
you said earlier, a customer a minute for how many hours?
So on our anniversary in November, we did 541 customers. It was over 1 a minute for 7 straight hours. From 7 to 2, it not stopped. Could we get better? I think we can absolutely have an online ordering system where you come down and you pick them up and don't have to wait in line, right? The reason why I shy away from that is my staff works hard enough as it is. So I as much as I want to make it easier for the end consumer, and I do, if it's harder on them and then you walk in and they're waiting in line, I get a little bit like, oh no, like someone's going to be upset there.
There's got to be an answer to that, because I think we hear that a lot. And I even notice it like Starbucks. If I stop at Starbucks, get a cup of coffee, I still like to go in and just say hello and see something.
Totally.
And then there's people go, and they're like, oh, can you hold? I'm like,
yes.
I'm here. Like,
so the safest way we found is, hey, there's going to be a line. We're going to get you through that line as fast as we can. We're going to make it fun. Like 2 Fridays ago, we had a DJ. We literally set up like it was a VIP party from 7 in the morning till 9. We passed out keychains. And you know what? I like to think that the people in line having the experience was worth more than that online pickup. Yeah. Did they waste an extra half an hour? Totally. Is it a great time for them to post on social media if there's a line and their picture of us? And does it add to our people wanting to go? You know, the old saying at the state fair is no one really wants to go to any of the stands that don't have anyone there. There's something about lines that work really well, right? When villas wait in lines. Yeah. So as a business owner, I certainly want the line to move fast and I want you to have a great experience, but I don't want to diminish that with an online pickup system that makes it difficult for my staff to now handle, because now they're dealing with the pre-orders plus those online, not knowing what's going to happen. So we've just shied away from it. We will, going forward, pre-order all of those theme boxes. We did it for Father's Day, for Mother's Day. That makes sense. Yeah. And we'll do them in the 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10 time slots. We know how to prepare, because
you got to be busting at the seams during those days.
Oh,
it's got to be.
On Valentine's Day last year, we served just over 500 dozen. We have 650 square feet. You know, so that's $6,000. It's just nonstop cranking, decorating. We bring all hands on deck, staff there. This year we'll have that. We'll streamline that, because we'll have that order system where we know what we have to prepare for. We'll only do online ordering, pre-orders only, no walk-in. Yeah,
I remember one Christmas going to Columbus.
Oh yeah,
getting there early and sitting in that line, and it was totally.
And that's part of it. You know, another big night for us is tree lighting. Yeah. Right. What happens on tree lighting is you get a lot of people from the suburbs that don't want to go downtown, but when they go downtown for special events, they'll hit us. They've heard about us. Yeah. They want to check it out. They're parked anyway. Lines down to the corner. That's a 2-item. We'll do 5 specialty donuts, like a hot chocolate donut, a Bailey's Irish cream, all themed around holiday season. We sell a ton of hot chocolate. And
these all come from you and your staff?
Yes.
You guys just noodle it around and...
Look at gingerbread cookie one that night. A lot of kid-friendly ones that night.
Have you heard of that Tom and Jerry drink?
No.
In Watertown, there's a guy, and I can't think of the name of the restaurant, the Crystal.
Okay.
From Thanksgiving till New Year's, they have this drink called the Tom Jerry. And it's like this cake dough on top of warm brandy or...
Oh, wow.
Literally lines out the door.
Sure.
Go have this, $3.50. You should really look at that, because this guy's been doing it and served in the same cup as father started the business and did it. And so they just come to your staff and you guys just... Yeah. Is there like a weekly session where you...
Yeah, and that was... that right there, like that tree lighting night, is just one of those that's become... We see the same families every Thanksgiving, every tree lighting night. Yeah. Like, it's just what they do. They come down, they grab donuts, they go back, they watch the tree lighting. We love those traditions. Yeah. We started this year a fun thing. We wanted... families to get a dozen donuts for Santa. that Santa likes donuts more than Christmas cookies, or chocolate chip cookies. That started a fun little trend, and we sold a ton of themed donuts for families for Christmas Eve for Santa. We try to do that as much as we possibly can, as build some traditions. Anything from normally like that Saturday morning with your family, or for themed holiday events or tree lighting, things of those natures. And that's what we're just constantly thinking about.
So when you're not working Glazed and Confused, what do you...
Looking up donuts. Really, I mean, yeah.
Chris Miley, when I asked Chris, he goes, I get a workout in, and then it's work. And then
it's work.
And that's what it makes his...
It is. I mean, we're business owners, right? We get text messages, emails at 7 o'clock at night, and we try to get back to people throughout the night, so there's always something to do. And then when I'm not, if I have to turn it all off, spending time with my wife and kids. But generally, it's done thinking about like what's next week. Every Tuesday we launch our Friday fillet flavor, and we'll get, on no exaggeration, 30 to 40 texts by Friday. If we don't launch it by noon on Tuesday, we'll start getting, what is it? People just look forward to what is the Friday fillet day. But it keeps it exciting and it's fun. We just don't want to let anyone down. It's good.
That's good.
Next week is pumpkin spice latte. We're going to start that early.
Good. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you
your time.
so much.
I hopefully you enjoyed it, and I really appreciate you coming in your business. Thank you.
I did. Thank you.